It's been interesting. I've had some very different experiences on this tour. I had a great gig in Hong Kong. It was only a small 400 capacity party on a Thursday, but it was really fun, and everybody that was in there really kind of got the music and understood what I was about. On Friday in Seoul was okay. Interesting because I felt as though I was the lineup was very strange, because musically there was drum and bass and electro all on the same lineup, so it was kind of weird. In Tokyo I had an amazing gig as always. I think that Tokyo, in my humble opinion, has the most educated crowd in Asia, and I don't mean that if that's a good or a bad thing. I think that musically they are more discerning and have a little more integrity in what they choose to listen to. I had a tough time here this evening in Bandung, but I've always viewed it as a challenge, you know. I mean, Indonesia has always been quite a commercial scene, so it's tough for guys like me to come over here and play the music that we do, and try and play it in such a way that it's understood and that you can entertain as well as educate. But really, music is about fun and expressing yourself and enjoying yourself. But if the crowd don't understand it, then they can't really enjoy themselves as much. So it's tough. But overall, you know, I always come to Asia once a year, and in some places it's more challenging than others. Yeah, Zouk was great. I mean, Zouk was great. I mean, it always is. It's a safe bet in Asia. You know, and it's run by people that really understand, you know, the whole concept of all the different genres of house and techno. And also, you know, they've been, I don't know how long it's been running for, but I've been playing at Zouk for over 15 years. So, you know, Lincoln, the guy that owns the club, you know, he's very knowledgeable in music and the sound system and the whole idea and the creativity in trying to give people a good experience in his club. So you always have a good gig at Zouk. I mean, I started it 6 years ago now, Viva Music, but you know, I started it for the reason that I had a label before. I had a record label called Harlem Records, and you know, it's always been a hobby for me to have a record label. You know, it's as much a labour of love as it is anything else, and I think that's how it is for every DJ that has a label. It's really a hobby, and it's really nice to be able to get behind, you know, up and coming artists and their careers, and really help develop their careers, and also contribute to the industry itself. You know, we've released, I think, around 80 releases on Viva Music now, and there's been some amazing music that we've put out, and I'm really proud of where the label has and how the label has developed. And you know, that's the way that we give something back to the industry. You know, we supply music to this industry and hope that we can you know, just do good from it, really. I mean, it really is a labour of love. I think ultimately a resident DJ is to first of all know the room, know the aspects of the room, you know how to work the room, know the sound system, know how to get the best out of the sound system. And ultimately, if you're a resident of a club and you're let's say you're performing a warm-up slot, the opening hours of the club, then really you should know how to warm up properly. And I know for myself and many other DJs, there's nothing worse than going to a club and the opening guy is banging the hell out of it, and you know, it makes it really, you know, it really takes away the flow of the night, you know, musically, and the whole audio experience that people can have has kind of already been sort of, you know, jolted from the start, and it's not the best way to start a night. So I think a resident DJ's job is to really know the club, know the sound, know how to open up the room, and ultimately know how to close the room if they go on and finish the night as well. So I think it's one of the toughest jobs in the world to do, is be a resident DJ. I know I've been one myself. I still do residencies. I still sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's really important for me. It was a place where I learnt my craft as a DJ and learnt how to respect a sound system and learnt how to program a night musically. And now my residencies usually are, I don't open the room, but I play long sets around 6 hours, so I get a chance to, you know, play a sort of opening set really from my point of when I start. So residencies are really important, and their job is tough, but it's a really great way to learn your craft as a DJ. Yeah, I mean, well, my style really is just, it's very difficult for me to say what my style is, because I hear it different to what everybody else hears, I'm sure. I've never really built my career around having a style, trying to particularly pigeonhole myself or follow any trends. I just play the music I love, and in itself, that creates its own style. My style is my style, whatever that is, and I do tend to play, I don't play commercial tracks. I don't really play all the obvious big records. I try and break a lot of new records. I play some old classic records at the end of my set. My sets are heavily built around groove and rhythm. So if you hear me play a long set and it's at the start of the night, it's going to be quite deep, and at the end of the night it's going to be sort of, you know, very techno orientated, but it will always maintain a groove and a lot of rhythm throughout the whole set. So that in itself is really my style. Well, like every musician, it's not ideal. I mean, as a label owner more than a musician, I find the illegal downloading quite harmful to the industry. But you know, I know that we at Viva Music and a lot of other labels that I know are all trying to figure out ways of reinventing, getting music out there to people, because really music has become more of a promotional tool than it has, you know, a buying product. But we're trying to develop new ways in getting more music to people, but at the same time, the artists that are creating the music getting paid in some way, because, you know, there's some amazing music being written, and they should be, you know, they should be rewarded for their hard work. Yeah. Well, I mean, the music industry now is incredibly different from what it was when I first started making music and first started playing records. I mean, the idea of making a record now is a lot easier than it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, you know, we had to have a studio, a very expensive studio with a lot of equipment, all outboard gear, and it was great. They were amazing times. You know, you really felt like you was writing a record when you had to put it down to tape. And the process kind of was more creative then, you know. But I think now with the advance of technology, it's advanced to the point of it making it a lot easier to write music. And that has two sides of the coin. In one way, it's a good thing. It's creative. It can really, you know, it encourages people to make records, to make music, which is great. But on the other hand, it sometimes makes things so bad, it starves creativity, and there's a lot of rubbish being made as a result. So I guess, you know, now there's just more music out there, and you have to really fine tune what you pick and what you play. But as making music, the whole idea is very different now. Depeche Mode were a huge influence on me, and it's kind of weird because when I was at school, I wasn't really surrounded by other people that were into music like me, so I kind of stood out in my school for that reason. You know, a lot of my friends were, you know, at the age of 14, 15, were like buying skateboards and, you know, this kind of thing, and going to football matches, and I was spending all the money that I had on records, and my friends didn't understand the kind of music that I liked. They all said that it was really dark and gothic and weird, but actually there was just a lot more depth to the music that I liked than the regular pop music that they were choosing. So I was kind of on my own then. Hello Asia, this is Steve Lawler and you're watching DanceSignal.com.